This started as a project with Marvel Licensing. They wanted something that was an homage to the original #1 cover, but they wanted to compress it into just one image. I I had a tough time doing it because it's a lot of figures, and the original, of course, was connecting covers. But I did my best, tried to squish them all in there. I couldn't quite find room for Magneto, and I asked them if we could maybe do a wraparound cover. Ultimately, we weren't able to do that, but Sideshow eventually approached me with turning it into a limited edition print, and I thought that was a perfect opportunity to do what I wanted to do from the very beginning. This is, of course, one of the more famous covers in all of comics, but for me, it always reminds me when I first got the issue. Um, I didn't really, I didn't really collect comics, but I was a huge superhero fan just because I had watched like X-Men the animated series, Batman the animated series, and I got the comic when I was going trick or treating. I was in sixth grade. I was dressed up as Batman because I kind of did the Halloween thing way longer than anyone else, any of my friends. But I went to a KB toy store and I opened my bag and they dropped a book in there. And at first I was really disappointed because it wasn't candy and that's what I was there for. But once I actually looked at it, it kind of blew my mind. And I spent the next few years just kind of poring over every panel and copying every aspect of it that I could. I don't always paint with my kids in the room, but sometimes I attempt to do it. And in this next little clip, you'll hear my son and daughter. My son, of course, is named Bishop.
Nice, Bishop. Cook it, take it home. Okay, let's start with that. He's a cat. Cat. When it needs a room food, you just do this.
As for a favorite character, like a lot of people, I always gravitated towards Wolverine. Part of it was just, I don't know, he was hairy. I, I mean, when it came time to like dress up as the X-Men, like that's who I was going to be. I could grow out the chops, and I had a pretty good snarling face. And when I was in college, I spent a good chunk of 1 year just making a Wolverine costume with like working claws. So I don't know. I was definitely a little obsessed, and that started pretty early. It's always a privilege to work with my dad. With this piece, he inked it and I colored it. I penciled it, but I basically just give Jim Lee and Scott Williams all the credit. But once I repositioned the figures, I kind of tightened everything up, made it more into my style. But honestly, I didn't do much. uh, but then, once I had put it all together, I sent it to my dad. I actually printed out on my printer on the board, a real thick, like illustration board, and I sent it to him just via the U.S. Post Office, and he inks it and sends it back, and then I just watercolor it.